Hi everyone, it's Dasher Dave here again, and I'm back for another crafty video. So today we're going to make this little beauty. So it's beautiful, it's compact, and it has multiple uses. Oh no, that's me. Oh yeah, same difference. So anyway, I'm going to make this. It's one of those, I wanted to make a little case that had got like these corner bumpers that you used to get on old suitcases. And so I'm going to show you how to make this, mainly made from one piece of card. Oops, and now we're going to have a bit of an avalanche. So it does open up, and it does open like a little case. And this is just a prototype, so this is one that I made out of a bit of old scrap card, but I've got like multiple prototypes going on with bits of other scrap card. Just wanted to make it as easy and simple for everyone to make as possible. So initially, what you are going to use is you're going to have a piece of card that measures 10 and 9/16. Bear with me, we're talking in inches by the way at the moment. So 10 and 9/16 by 6 inches. 10 and 9/16 by 6 inches. And what that basically is it's one little mark, a 1/16 of an inch over half an inch. So it's 9/16, so it's there on a ruler. And the reason for that is that just allows it to come together and close without snagging on this bit and it not being big enough, or it buckling and you're trying to squash it all in. Okay, so these are the measurements for those people who don't have a scoreboard that has a base and a lid. So I'm doing it like making it as simple as possible for everyone. Okay, so remember it's 10 and 9/16 by 6 inches. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to take our scoreboard and we're going to have our scoring tool, which you know is never where you expect it to be, which is nowhere. Where is it? I've just had it. Oh, it's there. It's on the floor. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to have it on the horizontal. Okay, so these are just because I'm using a file folder to make this one. I just wanted to make one in a different color, so I'm making this out of file folder. Doesn't need to be particularly thick card, although it does need to be card. Apologies, I'm still coughing. So what we need to do is put it on the horizontal, and your first score is going to be at 1. So score at 1. Try not to go through your card like I've just done. Score at 1. Then score at 4.5. So that's my 4, and there's my half. Let's just move it a bit further up there, and then I can see it better. 4.5, and score there. Then we're going to score at 5.25. So this is our quarter mark on the 5. I'm going to score at 5.25, and this is basically your hinge on the back. Then we're going to score at 6. Where are we there? 6. Sorry, I can't see in the slide. I have to kind of lean forward, and that's why you might see the top of my bald head as I do this. Okay, 6. And now what you're going to do is you're going to turn it 180 degrees. Okay, so you're going to turn it all the way around and score at 1. And the reason why I don't want you to score here is because remember we've added an extra 1/16 of an inch, so I need the lid, and this will be the lid bit, to be just a 1/16 of an inch bigger. So if you turn it round now and you put it on here this way round and you score at 1, that means that this area from here to here is a 1/16 of an inch bigger than this area from here to here. Okay, so now what we need to do is you just need to turn it round, and we go to the to the vertical, and we're going to score at 1, and then we're going to turn it 180 degrees, and we're going to score it at 1. And that's it. They're your score lines for making this box. Okay, so now you can take your scoreboard away. And you can put it somewhere, and then like the score tool will fall out of it and you'll never find it again. Anyway, that's just my problems. So now what you need to do is you need a pair of scissors. So we'll get these Tim Holtz scissors out. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut from the sides. Every time we're going to cut from the sides. So the first cut is the deepest. No, the first cut is going to be here. Okay, so this is going to be the side of one of your boxes. So this is going to be one of these. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut it straight, but we're cutting it just past the furrow, so that we have a nice straight edge without a furrow in it. Otherwise, you'd see a divot, an indent on this side. Okay. So you're just going to cut straight up, and then on this one, we're going to cut straight up, and we're going to cut so that again we have a straight line, and the side we just cut the divot off. The divot is now part of the tab. We're going to cut straight up at the middle of the furrow on this one, straight up again, and make a nice straight side. So we're cutting the furrow off onto the tab, and then we're cutting the furrow off onto the tab this way. Okay, so there are panels and our flaps. So what we're going to do is we're going to on the tab side, we're just going to cut. So let me just move that out of the way. We're just going to cut it so it's a little bit of a shape, and we cut that furrow off on this one. Okay, we'll leave it straight on this edge, and that just helps you to get yourself a nice straight line when you're putting it together. Sorry, it's not quite to the corner there. It's better. And then we're going to do nothing to this, because this tab is shallower than this, so it won't stick above the side anyway. This one won't either, because that's going to be on this side, but this one will if you leave that in. So we're just going to cut that bit off, and we remember these are the sides. We want them always with a nice straight line, so we're not going to cut a divot out of that. So that's that bit. We're going to turn it around 90 degrees, and we're going to do the same again. So cut the furrow off, but this time I'm just going to put that divot in now and cut a divot into there. Okay, then we're going to move along, and we're going to cut the furrow off. Okay, and we're going to leave that there. We're not going to make it shape it. You can, but you don't need to. You're going to cut down the middle of the furrow on there. You're going to cut the furrow off. And then we're going to come to this last one. We're going to cut the furrow off so it's on the left-hand side of the scissors. And then we're just going to cut a divot on there. Okay, and that's all we're going to do for shaping and tabs and things. So now what you want to do is you just want to put in all of your score lines. Okay, so this first one is so this will be the inside of your box, so you have to choose which bit is going to be inside, which is going to be outside. So this first one makes the face down side is what will be on the outside. So that's our first crease. Our second crease is also in that same direction, and we're just going to put that one in. Okay, our next crease is, because that's the hinge, that's going to fold the other way. So you're going to flip it over and fold it back on itself and put the score line in there, and then we're going to flip it back, because all of the other lines now are on this side. So I'm just going to put all of those lines in and score it like that. Okay, and now on the either side, they're all the same way. So you're just going to flip all of these over and put those in. Just make sure you try and get it as straight as possible. So try and fold on that line, on that score line. Give it a bit of guidance as you first flip it over. Okay, and fold that one over as well. Okay, so when you're folding these over, just make sure that they line up flat with that edge there. Flip it over, make sure it lines up flat. Crease it in. Grease those in. Oh, see that one? I didn't even cut far enough down. Oh, I did. Just it wasn't moving. Oh, there you go. Then that one, and then that one. Okay, so now to put it together is really simple. Okay, so this is the only fold that bends the other way. Okay, so we're going to make use of that, and we're just going to fold it like that, and that way then you're going to have two trays that you're going to make. So I'm just going to put a peg in the middle so that it holds it in that shape, and then that way then you can understand what I'm talking about. So these are going to make, you're going to make two trays, so you're going to make sure that all of the tabs are on the inside. Okay, so we're just going to glue these tabs and glue these bits together. So let's just do that. So you want if you fold the tab in, you want the glue on the surface of that tab. If anybody wants to know what glue I'm using, I'm just using it's Pen Tart paper glue. Okay, I like this for when I'm making boxes. I tend to use it in one of my little squeezy things, but it's blocked at the moment, so it's currently soaking. They're always blocked, aren't they? So they're always blocked when you want to use them. So when you tuck it in, just make sure that those two edges are nice and straight, parallel to each other. Turn it round to the other one. I mean, you can pick yours up and do it however makes it easy for you, but I'm trying to show you so that you can see what I'm doing. So make sure they're on there. Okay, so then this tab again, I'm just going to pick it up this time so that you can see. I'm going to glue on the surface of that tab. And this tab is, remember, shallower. The back of the suitcase looks a little bit odd because these tabs are shallower, but you'll see why in a moment. So we're going to put those in there and flip that over. I'm just going to use that peg that we've just had there to hold that one, so that I can use this peg. I've only got 4 on my desk to put on there, and you're just going to marry those lines up and just put your peg on there, and then that will all hold together. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same again. Just going to put the glue on this tab, the glue on this tab. You just want to make sure you get up to this edge, because this is the edge where it affects how you see this join. So okay, on there like that. Line it up. That one should be glued now, so I'll just whip that off and put it and use it over this side. Just want to make sure that's nice and straight. Do the same on that one. Put it together, move that over a little bit. That one's nice and straight. Put the peg on there. Okay, so now we're going to do the last bits now, which are these two. Oh, don't get it on the desk, Dave. Are on here. On these tabs. And remember, when you're marrying these up, these need to marry up so that the top edges are level with each other. Like that. Okay, so I'm going to move that peg over now to there, and we're going to do the same on that bit. Make sure that those are nice and level. Just pinch it a bit and then move my peg over. Okay, so that is the basic shape. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a second to just completely dry on those bits. So I'll just put the lid on that. So the bumpers themselves. So I've made them here. So I've made mine out of some brown card. Okay, and I've cut them already. But I'm going to show you what you need to do, and then, but I'm going to do it in a giant form. Okay, so this size would be way too big for these. These, if you're using this size that I've given you the dimensions for, these are cut using a 1-inch circle. Okay, so what you're going to do is, I don't know how big these are. These are just bigger so that you can see what I'm doing. So these are 2-inch circles. So what you're going to do is you're going to, first of all, you're going to fold it over. Okay, so you're going to pick what's to the inside, what you're going to see on the outside, but first of all you're going to fold it over with the inside facing up, so that when you fold it, it becomes the inside. So fold it over in half to make sure that those edges line up. Yeah, and then you're going to score that in. Okay, like that. Okay, and then you're going to open it back out again, and now what you're going to do is you're going to turn it 90 degrees, and then you're going to fold it the other way, and this time you want to make sure that this crease lines up with this crease. So you're just going to fold it over. I'll just use my finger to kind of push it down to help it fold. Line that up with there, fold it over, and then put that crease in like that. Okay, so then you're going to open it out, and what you've got is you've got a cross through the center. Okay, so there you go, you can see both of those crease lines. Yeah. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to take a pair of scissors, and in between so don't cut initially, don't cut on any of the scored bits. You're going to cut between. I'll pick one wedge and cut halfway up. It doesn't have to be perfectly halfway. You're just creating yourself a little tab, and then so you've made this little tab, and then you're going to cut up on one of the folds. So take that bit out, yeah, and then what you're going to do is you're going to use this as your tab to glue to the back of this one, and it will create you a nice corner. So I'm just going to glue that, even though I don't actually need it this size. I'm going to glue it so you can see. Okay, so yeah, I'm really sorry, my voice is still a little bit husky and a little bit deep, and I might have to edit in order to cough. Okay, so once you've made that, I'm just going to take that off there, put your peg on it and keep it closed. You can put your peg on these sides as well. So I'm going to show you that again in a giant form. So this is the same colour card as this. The only thing I've done to this card is I've just given it a bit of a go over with a bit of I actually used Rich Mocha, which is an artistry ink colour, and it's basically just a nice brown. Let me just see if I've got a piece of paper I can show you what this colour looks like. It's just a nice brown. So there you go, that's what Rich Mocha looks like. So I'm just using some Rich Mocha, and all I did was I just went over the surface of my circles just to give it a bit of an undulation to look like it's had some years of hanging around. So anyway, remember, this is not the size we're going to use. So I'm going to fold it over and put a score line in there. Then we're going to turn it 90 degrees, and we're going to fold it over and meet those two score lines together. Put it down. Then we're going to open it out, and then we're going to cut down the middle between two score lines. Doesn't have to be accurate, just needs to be there or thereabouts. You're only making a tab, and then you're going to turn it and cut it on one of those score lines. So you don't want to cut both of them off, otherwise you're not going to be able to glue it together. And then we're going to use that eighth now that we've got. We're going to use that as our tab, put some glue on it, form it, curl it round, and that will give you a nice corner. Okay, so again, I'm just going to use that same peg, and I'll show you that in a second. So there you go, that's what it turns into. It turns into this nice corner. So we're going to do that with these. So these are just a little version. Now I may well come back to you once I've glued and done all. I was going to do it all off camera, but you know what, you have to have a memory to be able to remember to do stuff like that, and at the moment memories, yes, like the corners of my mind which are dusty and covered in cobwebs. Anyway, so I'm just going to stick these together and I will come back to you. So there will be a cut in this. These are all now glued. So the next thing we need to do is we just need to make sure that we establish which is the top and which is the bottom. So I'm just going to flip it over because I've forgotten already. So that one is definitely 3.5, and this side is just a little over 3.5. So this is the lid. So this bit is going to have to sit round this one. Okay, so now what we're going to do is make sure that's glued in. There we go. So you need to just make sure that this, where these corners are, that if they were sat like this, the lid has to sit on the outside. So the lid has to be the one that's on the outside. You just need to flip it on the corner. That one's in the right place. And then we're just going to close it. And then what you'll find is that the lid will just overlap the front. You just might need to guide it to the first time, because remember, these are all might be bent out. Yeah, that's that bent out shape a bit. Yeah, so flip it over, tuck it in, and there we go. So that it'll overlap on one side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to improve that overlap so that it doesn't want to squash into itself like this, by using some of our offcuts of cardboard. I don't even think that's the same colour, Dave. No, it's not. This is the right colour. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this and we're going to cut this down to 1/2 inch. Okay, so we know that the width of the box is 4. So it measures 4 by 3 and 3.5 at the bottom, and 3 and 9/16 of an inch at the top. So we're just going to use these. We're going to cut this down to 1/2 inch wide. We'll have a few of them. So we're going to have one at the front and one either side. So we're just going to cut these down to 1/2 inch first, and then we'll go from there. Except for that one is not, I'm not going to be able to do that, am I? Is this the same colour? It is. I'll do that one. So now we're going to have to cut one at 4, which is going to be the width, that's for the front. So we go to the 4, and you want to make sure it's bang on 4, or just like a 1/16 of an inch shorter, because what you don't want it to do is overhang the front. So you don't want it to overhang the sides. I mean. So then we're going to cut another one. I don't know why I've turned it round. Goodness only knows. And we're going to cut this at 3.5. Is that right? Is that what we just said? So the base, this is the one we're cutting it for. The base is 3.5. Yes. So that's the 4. Don't cut that one again, Dave. We're going to cut that again. You want to make sure that it's exactly 3.5 or a little bit shorter. Don't make it any longer, otherwise you'll have overhang. Okay, so I didn't use all of those bits in the end, did I? Being overzealous with my cutting. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find that one that's longer, which is the 4. We're going to use that at the front. So what you're going to do is you're just going to open it up for now. Okay, and then you're going to take your glue, you're going to take your piece of card, and you're going to glue down the back of it. And then we're going to stick that, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it on the very bottom edge, so that the bottom edge of it meets with the bottom of the box. Okay, and then you want to line it up either side. Okay, like that. Oh, Dave, don't move it. Once you get it in the right place, don't move it, Dave. Don't do a Dave. And then you're going to flip it round, and then we're going to do the same on either side. Again, we're going to put that on that side. Like that. And just make sure that sits on that edge nicely. Yeah, and then we'll flip it over and we'll do the other side. this one on this side. It sits on that, right at the bottom. Just push it down. And then what that will do is, when you close it together, it will help it to meet, and it won't go too far, it won't close in on itself, but it'll sit nicely that way, like that. Okay, so that's the main part of our box is made. Okay, there we go. So now what we're going to do, I keep putting the lid back on that and then thinking I need it now. So now what we're going to do is going to put all of our corners on. Okay, so, well, you can either put your corners on or you can do a bit of inking first. So I think I might give it a bit of a dirty brush over. You know what, I can't have it so that it's perfect. I have to have it dirty. I'm going to catch all of those edges with my, whatever it is, rich mocha. That's just not sticking down properly. Just catch all, so I don't have to worry about the corners because remember they're going to cover them up. I want to catch all those edges, make it look a little bit older. I'm not worried about the inside bit, which will look a different colour, because you know that's what cases are like. The inside of I've got a nice old suitcase very similar to this. The inside of it's pristine compared to the outside. That's because it doesn't get the wear and tear, and you tend to put your clean stuff in on the inside of suitcases. You put your dirty stuff in well, whatever it is that you've got that's left. I usually tie up the leg of a jogger and put my dirty stuff into there, stuff it full so that it doesn't then contaminate all the rest of the clean stuff that I didn't wear. So. Anyway, talking about me packing cases, that's not what we're here for. You pack your case however you want to pack your case, and I'll do me. You do you, and I'll do me. Okay, I'm just going to put a bit on the back. So remember that crease is our hinge, basically. I'm just going to put a nice bit of grunge on that. I always think that bit's going to be quite grungy because that's usually the bit where you put it down on a surface, and it's usually a platform or it could be the deck of a ship, or I don't know. I've never been on a cruise or anything like that. So anyway, I'm going to pick up all of these. So lid, that's what we're doing at the minute. So I'll just catch all that edge. These are really nice and juicy. These are the ones that Brian originally bought, and then I've had off him since, because he doesn't tend to use. He tends to use oxides more than just normal ink, and yet I like normal ink. You know, I've said about I don't like oxides because I don't like the texture of it. I don't like the chalky texture. So I love the effects that you get, but I don't like the chalky texture. So there we go. I've just made that look a little bit dirty. Same with this, just to give it a bit of a zhuzh, like a zhuzh. So I've got at the moment I've got terrible long hair that's in my beard that just won't grow in the same direction as everything else. I could do with some trellis, I think, to kind of train it, but it keeps sticking up my nose and it makes it really tickly. So if I keep rubbing my nose, that's the reason why. Not that you can see my nose well, hopefully you can't see my nose in camera, otherwise, like, you know, they called him Elephant Man. So not because he was grotesque, but because he had a massive trunk. So there we go. So there we go. Made it look a little bit shabbier. Okay, so now what we need to do is we just need to stick our corners on. So I forgot to tell you, when we're making corners, you need to make 8 of them. So there's going to be 4 corners on here and 4 corners on here. So, you know, you're probably saying, well, yes, we guessed that, Dave. But if I didn't say something, somebody would say, how many corners do I need to make? You didn't say. So I'm just going to put a little bit more ink on these just to... because it's going on this is going on the bottom ones, and I always think that, you know what I'm like with the attention to detail. It's terrible. It's on my CV that I've got good attention to detail. A CV is basically a resume, and what you guys in America would call a resume, we call it a CV. We call it a CV because it stands for curriculum vitae, which is Latin. I think is it Latin? It means course of life. So, apparently, something like that anyway. But don't quote me on it being course of life, because of course it won't be now. Of course of life it won't be. So once you stick it on the corner, just press it in so that it makes a nice bond. James Bond. Shaken, not stirred. Shut up, Dave. They're terrible jokes. It's a Friday for me. I normally put a video up on a Friday, but I just haven't had time this week, so this is going up. I'm planning for this to go up on Saturday, so you'll have a Saturday video from me rather than a Friday one, just to be different. And then pop the last one on this side. I just put a little bit of glue. It doesn't need a lot. It's not like you're going to be packing it and going abroad with it, is it? So, and then flip it over. I just try and make sure that I've got a bit down the furrows, and then a little bit on either side, and then that should be enough. And then just pop it on, press it in. If a bit of glue squeezes out, then just wipe it off with your finger. Around, pop that one on. It's great because if you hold them like that, you've got a try shape here, which is perfect. That perfect shape for that corner. It's almost like we were built to craft. We're built to make boxes. Oh, what a terrible thought. I was built for box making. So anyway. I wasn't built to be a boxer, just for box making. So, sorry, made myself laugh. Apologies now, coughing. So, apologies for making myself laugh. I really shouldn't make myself laugh. So, there we go. So that's that. That's all our little corners on. Any that kind of stick out, you just give them a squish. And what you should find is that they shouldn't sit beyond this bit that you've made here, because this is a half-inch circle. Remember, you folded it in half, which makes it half an inch on one of those quadrangles. Is that what they're called? I don't know. Don't ask me. Quarters. So we've made that. Okay. So now we, aesthetically, I would have a handle on it. You don't need to. If you wanted to make it just look like a little, you wanted to make it look like a presentation box, or you wanted it to be, you could have some of those sticky roll dots in it, or whatever. But if you wanted to make it look like a suitcase, I'm not going to leave you in the lurch. I'm going to tell you what I did for a suitcase handle. So this is a different style of suitcase handle that I've given, and compared to this one, I'll show you how I made that one. Okay, there was no measuring involved in it. Literally, I just took a piece of card and thought, oh, I'll go to about there. Okay, so, well, should we see if it turns out any good before I tell you? Oh, that's 2 inches. So we went to 2 inches. Okay, and then what I did was I thought, how wide do I want it? So I went for about there. Again, no measurements, just about there. I was looking at aesthetics. What are we on there? 3/4 of an inch ish. I bet that's not that. Yep, 3/4 of an inch. Okay. And then what I did was I again looked at one end and thought, oh, I don't know, how big do I need that? And you know what I actually did? I got a peg and I stuck that on there, and I thought that would make a great width for a base for a handle. I put it in place, lined it up with the edge, and then just cut that here. But what I didn't do, sorry, let me just get that so that it sits in the middle. So what I did was I utilised the width of this, the middle of that peg, and what I did was I cut it so that it cut up to the width of that peg, that side, and up to it on that side. And there was like no measuring, and like you're going to say, well, that's no help to me, Dave. And no, I guess it's not, but that's what I did. And if you wanted to know what I did, that's what I did. So basically, this is what I did. So we'll have a look at what that turns out to be. So what you've got is so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over. I'll show you what I'm going to do first, and then we'll talk about how you can make that a bit more of it's an actual measurement of. So I flip that over like that, and then I flipped the other side over. I just tried to make it look a bit square, and I used my thingy, what's it, Uji what's it. So you've got like this kind of eye. So that's basically, I guess, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create this kind of eye shape. Okay, so then all I did was I rounded these corners and round this one, and do the same on here. Do the same on here. I just rounded them to make it look a little bit about like that. Okay, and I opened it up and I glued it down. That's basically what I did. So I glued that little handle bit down. This is what I did on this one. So while that's gluing, you know I'm going to use a peg, don't you? While that's doing that, don't you? Because that's what I do. So the other way I did it was, so this one was made by basically doing a very similar thing and saying about there, which I don't know how big that is. Oh, it's 1.5 this time. Then I folded this over in half this way, and I put a score line in there. And then, so with the fold at the top, I just rounded the sides so that, oh no, hang on, I didn't, no, sorry. With the fold towards you, I cut down so that I had about 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and flipped it over and did the same again, 1/4 of an inch in from the edge, and cut almost down to the bottom but not completely. In fact, that's a little bit too much, like that. So I cut down to about whatever that is, about 1/3 of an inch from the bottom. Yeah, and I cut that bit out. Yeah, then I folded this bit up. So like I say, there's no real specifics to this. This is just making it look however you want to. Now, if you're not going to put a handle on, it doesn't make much difference. So you've got this kind of flat bit, okay, then you're just going to fold it back in on itself, and then what you're going to do is you're going to cut up. So you're creating like an M shape. So this is where the fold is now. Cutting up that side, cutting up that side. And then I'm going to put this kind of a curve in here. Like that. And then we're going to fold those open like that. So you've got this, you can either use that as a handle, Oh, you curve it over at on the corners, sorry. Over. You're going to use that as a handle, like that, yeah, or you're going to use the one that we made here. So this, now all you need to do is you just need to curl this round. So you're just going to curl it on your fingers, just use your nails just to kind of give it a shape. Once you kind of get it curled, you can give it a roll in your fingers. So I liked this shape, that's the reason why I didn't use that one, but if you want to use that one, then use that one, use that shape. And then flatten that down, flatten that bit down, and then we're going to make that a little bit more, give it a bit more colour to it, especially on the handly bit, because that would have got very grubby. Give it a lot more colour actually. Bit of colour on the inside because you'll see that. Sorry, working in a very tight space here, aren't I? Okay, like I say, just make that into a handle, and then you're going to glue on these flat bits here and here. Flip it over. So unlike a real suitcase, you have to put it on the widest bit, which is the top bit. Normally the handle would stay on the bottom bit, but we're going to put it on the top bit. So we're going to put it like that. Actually, we're going to cut that down a bit because that's too wide. Sorry. You know me. Has to be right. Well, aesthetically right. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just aesthetics I'm looking at. Wide, just cut that down. That's way too wide for me. There we go. That's better. That glue's dried now. Put a bit on there. A bit more on there. And then we're going to just bunch that up so the handle makes a shape, and we're going to stick it down. I'm going to stick it to the edge, but not so that it sticks over the edge, otherwise you glue the two parts together. I'm just going to stick that down, hope it sticks, like that, and there we go. So hang on, it's not, oh, now I've pulled a corner off, which is bound to happen. So in fact, let's open that up, straighten that edge, use a peg. Why are we not using the pegs, Dave? Like that. And then we can glue this on while we're waiting, wherever that's come from there. Move that back on there. And again, your corners won't interfere with this line, because this is actually, I can't remember how much it is. No, yeah, so it's 3/4 of an inch, and then remember these are only 1/2 inch, so it's not going to get in the way of the mechanism. So that should now be glued, and now we close it up. I've got a little handle. So like I say, if you didn't want the handle on it, there's absolutely no reason why you have to put the handle on. It's just me doing that. And then all I did was I put some stickers on it to make it look like it's gone somewhere. So I actually have some stickers here which probably need a bit more go on them, to be fair. That's kind of got a greeny tinge to it. I don't know what's been on there. Obviously old paper, that's what would have been on there. I'm going to put that one on. I'm going to put this one on as well. Let's just ink that down a bit. These are just stickers, but you can use the other things that are good, look good on there, are Tracy labels. So we all know what a Tracy label is, don't we? I don't think there's anybody out there that's like, a Tracy label? What on earth is that? If you don't know, it's Tracy Fox. She's fantastic. So And if you don't know who she is, you better go and find out. Otherwise, you'll have me to deal with. Okay, pop that on there, stick that on there. There we go. So we've made a nice little box. You know, different style of handles. You know how to make those rounded corners now. You can get rid of all of the bits of goo and pegs. I need to keep those pegs. I've got thousands of pegs. I just don't know where they all are. So they're bound to be somewhere since I've sorted out. Who knows? Anyway, so there we go. I made two little. Well, I'd already made that one, and we made that one together. So we made a little case, and you can put whatever you like in there. You know, if you're going on holiday and you want to take that with you, then you're a better packer than I am. So, but there you go. That's it. So I hope you like those. I hope you give that a go. And thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, my name is Dash of Dave, and I love you all without exception until you give me a reason not to. So don't give me a reason not to. And the way that you can definitely not give me a reason not to is by giving this a thumbs up, and make sure you comment if you feel so inclined, and you definitely have subscribed. And I will see you all in the next videos. Thank you very much for spending some time with me. I will see you soon. Lots of love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Lots of hugs. And I'll see you soon. Take care, folks. And happy travels. Take care. Bye.